So, could be a tasty one today then, Ant. We've got all the ingredients, that's for sure. Treacherous conditions, an ever-changing racetrack, and one or two cars just behind the pace setters who maybe, just maybe, fancy a bit of an upset after a good performance from them in free practice.
And the question has to be, of course, what is that circuit going to look like in 10 to 15 minutes from now? If you think the rain's going to get worse, then you have to be straight out when the lights go green to find whatever grip you can.
What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Once again, we are back with career mode, this time for the Belgian Grand Prix. As you can see, we've got some pretty treacherous conditions greeting us today for qualifying, so it should be a pretty interesting session to say the least. Mainly because I'm actually running with the dry setup, like really low front and rear wings. I think it's like 3-4 wings, and it's going to make for some interesting conditions as we go up our rouge for the first time in qualifying one. We have a bit of a moment and actually hit the wall, and somehow we're still in the session. That was really hairy. My first time in the wet the whole weekend, and I decided to, gamble it on a dry setup on a wet track, and that was the result. I think I just missed the apex going up our rouge there, and then that just left me a little bit wide and in a lot of trouble. You can see that just missed that right-hander apex, and I was just mounting the curb too much, lost the back end. My rear end, especially the left side, it should have been in pieces. It should have been destroyed. I can't believe that I was actually still, in the qualifying session, considering I do run with sim damage. That was, I don't know, the luckiest escape I think I'll ever have in an F1 2017 career mode video. But we've got to carry on now. We had a few minutes delay for repairs, and we're finally going back out in the session. The reason why we're going with the dry setup is because it's set to dry up over the course of the day, and even this session we might even see some dry running. So that's why I didn't want to gamble on a wet setup, because I knew I could get out of Q1 anyway with a setup that isn't ideal for the conditions. But as we go through this lap, we got interrupted by Max Verstappen, had a little mistake here and there, and we still end up in P14, so we're in the safe zone for now. But how long that'll last, I'm not entirely sure, especially with the conditions actually suiting dry tyres now. So we'll hopefully get out there and set a time on dry tyres that will ultimately get us through the qualifying too. But as you can see there, we got the warning saying insufficient time. So yeah, at this stage it looks like we may not get around to actually start our lap, and our weekend, our qualifying session may be over as we go up our rouge. This time on dry tyres, very, very sketchy once again, but it's literally a race to start our qualifying lap here. So I was pushing despite the track conditions being far from ideal, and just trying to make it work if I can. I don't even know if I'll have enough fuel. No, I should be fine. I had 10 kilos worth. But as we go through the final chicane, the bus stop, we got 3 seconds left to start this session. I don't think we're going to make it. We're going to be out in qualifying one here. No, actually, we actually managed to start our lap. I thought for all money we were gone in that qualifying session, but no, we're actually able to carry on, and we can start our lap that will get us through to qualifying 2 potentially. But man, I was cutting that really, really close. Let's go up our rouge for the first time in dry conditions. In terms of a flying lap, that was actually really fine. It was sketchy on the way out of the pit lane because I was actually racing to get to the start finish line, but that was fine. We go purple to the first sector. Sergio Perez has set the fastest lap. It's time for me to wake up. I'm already up, phone. I'm ahead of the game here. And going through the middle sector, like, I knew at this point I was through. All I had to do was just survive and not get done for corner cutting or anything like that, and we'd be all gravy. So Fernando Alonso goes top of the session. I think we might be pretty close to him as well. We were still going purple as we went up to the through all the sectors, and yeah, as we cross the line, we go purple as well to make that a McLaren 1-2 in qualifying 1 here for the Belgian Grand Prix. How amazing is that? 8 tenths to Fernando. It's not really representative. Don't look into that too much. I got the best of the conditions versus everyone else, so it was no surprise that I pretty much topped the session there. But as we head into Q3 now, this is where our true pace is going to be shown, hopefully. We waited till the end of the session as well. I wasn't too sure how I was going to approach this weekend as well. I was thinking maybe about doing some, engine component swaps, maybe taking an extra power unit and starting at the back, but since I went through all this hassle in qualifying, I thought I'd just roll with it and see what I could do. Going through Puon as well, that is flat out. That is like flat out 8th gear. If you turn in right and get the right angle, it's flat. It is so amazing to run through there. But yeah, so far this lap has been, it's been okay. I mean, like that point there, 4th gear, mounting the curb way too much. I was rushing the apexes a little bit too much and just compromising my exits. I noticed that looking back at this lap, and I could improve for sure by 3 or 4 tenths at least. So a little bit frustrating. Like there were some gear selections that I just made that were just wrong. Like shifting down too much, compromising the, you know, the mid corner and exit speed. So yeah, again, coming up to the line, we'll see what we can do. I don't think it's going to be anything amazing. It is P5, which, you know, in itself is very good. Very solid lap. I think without the mistakes, a much more tidy lap, I think we would have beaten Kimi Räikkönen in that session. But like I said, at the time, I was almost anticipating switching out the engine and starting from the back. But I thought, you know, given all the mistakes I made, how close I am to the pack, right behind Kimi Räikkönen, I think I will start this Grand Prix from where I qualified. And we'll look at taking the engine penalty in the next Grand Prix in Monza, since it's so easy to overtake at that track. Yeah, we'll just take it there. But yeah, in terms of the race, we're going to have a look at all the wear on all the engine components. I think that might be fine, and we'll just run with those. So that's qualifying. A bit of a hairy and wild qualifying session, but hopefully the race is a little bit more smooth for us. I think it's dry, so fingers crossed we can go for another podium in Season 3.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and starting alongside in P2 is Sebastian Vettel. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Bottas and a McLaren, Sergio Perez and Verstappen, Ocon, Alonso, Raikkonen and Roman Grosjean, Kvyat, Sainz, Kevin Magnussen and Stroll, Hülkenberg, Palmer, Daniel Ricciardo and Felipe Massa, Wehrlein and Marcus Ericsson rounds off the grid.
Okay, remember to brake early for turn 1, as the pack's going to bunch up. There's plenty of runoff if things get too close.
Thanks, Jeff, and welcome, guys, to the Belgian Grand Prix. We're sat on the grid now. I think we got promoted up a couple of places. Kimi Räikkönen got demoted by a few, so hopefully we can, you know, get a few points on him today. After he closed the gap on us by 10 points in the Hungarian Grand Prix, he won that race, I believe, and I think we finished 3rd. So, yeah, the championship is closing up a little bit, and we just can't afford to let him get too close, because, like I said, the Ferrari is still the best all-round package in this 2017 Formula 1 season. So, you know, I want to do everything I can to build the gap as much as I can on weekends where Raikkonen is not going to do so well. This is where these sort of weekends is where we win the championship by almost damage limitation, or just making the most of our opportunities. We've been so consistent this season, and I want to continue that streak. You have no idea how much I want to win this championship for this McLaren, given how far back we were. All the way back in Season 1, it has been a true grind, but I truly want to embrace it and win this championship starting today. Away we go for the Belgian Grand Prix. We're not going to win the championship today, of course, but it all starts here. We're getting to the business end of the season. Through turn 1, we go around the outside of Valtteri Bottas there. Nothing really doing there. He had the inside covered off fairly nicely, and now it is probably one of my favourite first laps on the entire Formula 1 calendar. The run up Al Rouge and using the slipstream to slingshot past all of the leaders. Around the outside of Bottas to the outside of Sebastian Vettel now as it turns to the very slight right-hand kink, and now we're in the slipstream of our race leader, Lewis Hamilton. Mercedes versus Honda Power, and it looks like Mercedes Power wins out just for now, but we are running ridiculously low, you know, downforce in this race. I think it's like 3-4 wings, or might have even been 3 wings, because on the balance of aero, I think we've got more downforce upgrades on the front, so I could afford to run kind of even split in terms of downforce levels, 3-3. So yeah, we're getting a ridiculous amount of straight line speed on the straights. It's just really trying to hold on the corners and doing the best to maximize that middle sector. But I'm not going to lie, the middle sector is my major weakness around this racetrack, and that's where Lewis Hamilton kind of stretches out the gap, especially as I get this close to him now. Dirty air really starts to come into effect, and it becomes increasingly difficult to run with him through the middle sector. But you know, I gritted my teeth on the previous lap 2, stuck it in rich revs for the most of that lap, and now we're in a position to overtake as we head on to lap 3. Top of Radion there, and bam, move is done. The lead of the Belgian Grand Prix has been taken from Lewis Hamilton before we even got to the DRS zone. That was absolutely mad. 330 kilometers down the straight. This thing is an absolute weapon. In Season 3 with the not the downforce upgrades, with the engine upgrades we've all done. We maxed out the engine, and now we've been going for drag reduction. As of late, we did the major one, and I don't know if I've covered this yet, but I think we have an ultimate engine. God, you can tell I've just woken up, haven't you? I did an ultimate drag reduction upgrade, which will be coming for the US Grand Prix. You guys probably already know that already, but Max Verstappen is out of the Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton stopped on the previous lap as well. We're going to be responding on the next one, and hopefully taking a set of soft compound tyres to the end of this Belgian Grand Prix. There are going to be some people as well who are doing 2 stops. There's a yellow flag as well, not only in our Rouge, but also in the middle sector. I think Nico Hulkenberg is out of this Grand Prix, but that notification didn't really come up on the screen, so we kind of missed out on that one. But as we rejoin back on the racetrack, Lewis Hamilton has encountered really heavy traffic. I think he's rejoined behind Valtteri Bottas and a whole heap of other cars who still haven't stopped yet in this Grand Prix. We rejoined just behind Lance Stroll, and I think on merit we are still leading this Belgian Grand Prix once you factor in all the pit stops. So we're looking really good here, and we stretched the stint out. We have 1 lap fresher tyres than Lewis Hamilton as well. To the outside on Lance Stroll. Pretty easy move in the end there. Only had to use standard revs. The car just really pulls up our Rouge really nicely. For some reason, I don't know if the AI are backing off in our Rouge, or if the downforce levels that they're running permits them from going flat out through there. I don't know what it is, but just going through that little left-right little, it's not even a corner anymore. It's more or less just like a little kink. But yeah, the McLaren handles it like an absolute champion and sets us up really nicely on that, you know, on that kind of back straight there. But yeah, looking really good at the moment up the inside of Kevin Magnussen. The slipstream around this racetrack is pretty insane. Don't know if it's down to my drag reduction upgrades that we've got on the car, but in the past, you know, the run to pretty much Blanchimont is really, really good for slipstream. Really powerful there, and you can make so much, you know, gains on other cars, you know, depending on what engine setting you're running in. But yeah, we're still out in front, setting purple lap times now on the soft compound tyres. This is Valtteri Bottas making a move on, I think that's Kevin Magnussen, who I recently overtook not long ago, and it looks like he's emerging as a challenger in this Grand Prix. He's also doing the 1 stop. I believe Lewis Hamilton is doing a 2 stop, so he's essentially taken himself out of this running for the Grand Prix, the victory today. Same too with Sebastian Vettel. He's doing a 2 stop as well, but now we've got a clear 2-horse race between myself and Valtteri Bottas. The car's behind, 15 seconds back to Sergio Perez, so there's no one else who is going to challenge us in this Grand Prix apart from Valtteri Bottas, and he was the only one who was keeping me honest. So at this stage I was pushing on, mindful that I was running low on fuel and I had to manage that a little bit. But yeah, I was really pushing on, trying to save a little bit of fuel, running rich on the straights, looking after the tyres as well, because we have to stretch them to the end of the race. But I think we should be fine on that. It's the fuel that's probably going to be the limiting factor for us, making sure that we can keep up a consistent pace. But if Valtteri does catch us, making sure that we have enough fuel to defend and keep him behind if possible. Lap 14 now, halfway through this stint, so we're getting you know, quite a bit on in this Grand Prix now. The gap is really starting to emerge to the rest of the field. It is absolutely ginormous. This is Valtteri Bottas pulling off to the side of the circuit because he is out of this Belgian Grand Prix. My only challenger in this race, and he is out with some kind of mechanical failure. Mercedes, as of late, I feel like their reliability has not been great. It is really letting them down in this championship, and it's allowing, you know, myself and Ferrari to run rampant in this season.
Behind. Our gap behind is 19.9 seconds. They're on old softs. The time last lap was 1 minute 49.1.
So yeah, with Valtteri's demise, that leaves Romain Grosjean in second place in this Belgian Grand Prix. He's 19 seconds back, and he's only now being overtaken by Sebastian Vettel. So you can imagine how much of a lead I have right now, and with only 6 laps to go in this race, we can just cruise home. Like, we can honestly just afford to lose a second or two a lap, and that's kind of what I did. I just completely backed off. I saved the engine. I, did less gear shifts as well, so I was running corners in higher gears to also look after the gearbox. There was no real point in me pushing anymore because I knew the win, whatever I did, was pretty much guaranteed. So I was just cruising. And it was a weird feeling as well because I'm not used to like backing off to the point where it's not kind of in my rhythm anymore. When you slow down to this point, it almost becomes a little bit dangerous because you're out of your rhythm, and then you can make mistakes sometimes. But yeah, I was trying to find a balance between going slower, just looking after the car and making sure that I didn't in the end crash out. But yeah, Sebastian Vettel got up in a second. That's when I kind of upped the ante a little bit. Was just running standard revs as well. The funny thing is, you can't really afford to run in lean revs because that hurts the energy store, but if you run in rich revs, it kind of affects the MGUK. So I feel like the best way, if you want to actually save your engine properly, is to stay in standard revs and just shift up early. And then when it comes to like shifting down, shift down late, use higher gears if you can. But that's pretty much the best way to look after your power unit. But as you can see on this final lap, I was running in rich revs quite a bit. I was actually just seeing what this car could do on the last lap of the Grand Prix with the engine components, pretty worn, and the tyres way past their best. We were within a tenth and a half of our previous personal best. But as we come through the final chicane, it is another win in this Belgian Grand Prix. Doesn't matter how you do it, as long as you do it. And there we go. It is done.
Great job. You've done everything we wanted today.
Welcome then to the podium, our top three drivers. What a great effort from them today in a very difficult race.
Thank you very much, Crofty. I don't know about difficult, but it certainly was testing at times, especially on Saturday, getting through that whole, crash and the intermediate conditions. But the race went fairly swimmingly. We got to the lead very early. Valtteri Bottas put us under a lot of pressure. I really wish he would have stayed in the Grand Prix. It would have been a really good battle to the end of the race. He was catching me, and I was running a little bit low on fuel. Only had half a lap in my back pocket, so it would have been a very interesting fight to the end. But in the end, that is not how it's worked out. Sometimes we get some bad luck, but today we got some pretty good luck, and that is our 4th race win of the season. It's been a great season, probably one of the best so far that I've managed to string together on a Formula 1 game. It really has been that good. The consistency as well is the thing that has really got me. I think we've only finished one race outside of the podium, and I think that was like Austria or something like that. So to have this level of consistency, as long as the pace that we've had as well at some racetracks, it really has been outstanding to see what has transpired in this season, given what has happened in the past, how slow the car was, and all the upgrades that have failed, and the glitches in season 1 that we had. But yeah, it's really coming together now. I don't even know what the gap is to Kimi Räikkönen. I'd imagine it's pretty sizable now with Kimi not finishing on the podium. I think the gap might be, I don't know, at least 28 points. Maybe 30-something odd points. But there we go, guys. That has been this episode for today. We have 648 resource points, which we will kind of devote to rear downforce. So that'll be coming in the next episode, hopefully, at some point. So look forward to that. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And see plenty more F1 2017 content. The way things are going, I almost don't see myself upgrading the chassis anymore. I feel like probably to get the best value for money, I feel like downforce is probably the way to go because we have the most amount of discounts applied to that department of research and development. So let me know what you think about that. I have also been going ahead and recording future episodes because I am going away fairly soon, and you might see a video on that. It's either already out today or it's coming out in a few hours, so stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching. I can't believe how this season is going. It really is turning out to be almost like a fairy tale kind of season. It has been that good. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next race, the not the Singapore Grand Prix, the Italian Grand Prix, getting ahead of myself. Straight line speed OP, we're going to be running really low downforce there as well, so hopefully we are bang on the pace and we can get race win number 5. Until then, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.